Hi, today we're going to be going over the elements of a case, the basic parts that make up a case decision. Most reported cases will have the following. They'll begin with the names and the designations of the parties. For example, who is the appellant, who is the appellee. You'll have the docket number of the case, the court and jurisdiction, the date of the decision, the judges who heard the case, and after that, a case report will usually start with a brief synopsis giving how the court got to where it is, how the case got to where it is, rather, what the procedural history is behind it, and what the issue was that was involved. And then you get to the basic facts of the case. Now, what you'll see with a lot of cases is that the reporter version, the one that you get in, say, Westlaw or Lexis or even the West Reporter volumes, will have some editorial enhancements added, things that are designed to help you move around the case and understand it a little bit better. And so they will add their own synopsis before you get to the actual case opinion. But the court decision itself usually will start with its own synopsis. Following that, the court will go into its reasoning, which might contain case citations and will have a lot of analysis. And that leads to the holding, what the court decided in this case. The cases may have more than one part. There may be a dissent or a concurring opinion. Those will come following the majority opinion. The cases will appear different in different formats. On Westlaw, the version will look a little bit different than it will on Lexis, but that's strictly because of the content added by the publisher. It's not the actual court opinion, which stays the same in all formats. Now, what I started with here is my very favorite case of all time, Miles versus City Council of Augusta, Georgia. And I'm showing you the print version of it because I think it's easier to understand what the elements of a case are if you look at it in print, where you have things like different kinds of font and boldface type and things like that. So here's what you get when you look at the reporter version of Miles versus City Council of Augusta. You get at the very top of the page the name of the case, Miles versus City Council of Augusta. It's actually called something much more than that. When you look at it, it's Carl M. Miles et al. Plaintiffs versus City Council of Augusta, Georgia et al. Defendants. However, it's shortened a little bit when it's given the case citation. And if you talked about this in another case, you would refer to it as Miles versus City Council of Augusta. You also have the case reporter citation there. It's in very small type here, so you may not be able to read it very well, but it's a citation to FSUP, which is a reporter, the Federal Supplement reporter. Those citations you're going to be hearing more and more about and learning the format for putting those together. But basically, the citation is a way that people can find the same case in different formats. Regardless of whether you're on Lexis or Westlaw or looking at this in a book, the citation to the FSUP is going to stay the same, even on Google Scholar. So you'll always be able to find it with that case citation. In the blue box up at the top, you've got more about the parties. Miles was the plaintiff. City Council of Augusta was the defendant. You've got the docket number, the court, the date, and then you've got the synopsis of the case. And the synopsis is very, very concise. The plaintiffs attacked a municipal ordinance. The judge held the ordinance was not vague, and there you go. Well, it doesn't tell you a whole lot about the case. It tells you the legal issue and how it was resolved, and that's it. So you know that this is one about a municipal ordinance. You know that it's about the taxing power. And what you don't get is a sense of what the facts really were. And you don't get all the other little small issues that were involved. So what you also see here in this version of the case, and you'll see it on Westlaw as well, is things that follow that are called headnotes. And what the headnotes are very specific little points of law taken from the case. When you have a case reported, the editors at West And for Lexis, the editors at Lexis will go through each case and find every tiny little point of law that's brought up in that case. So even though you only have 2 things that are set aside in the synopsis for you to understand, there is a lot more in this case involved than just whether the ordinance was vague. There are a lot of things, including how to interpret the ordinance, how this should be resolved, and those are put in the headnotes so that you can see exactly what the legal issues were in a little bit more detail. All of that is great. It's designed to help you move through the case, and as you'll see in a later video, it will help you find other cases as well. However, those aren't law. Those are not the words of the court. Those are the words of a publisher, and so you still have to read the case to find out what the case is about and to be able to cite to it. One other thing that the synopsis does not give you, and that is it really doesn't give you the facts of the case. Now, Miles versus City Council of Augusta is a terrific case, but the reason it's my favorite is because it's about a talking cat. And if you go into court and you're citing in a very serious argument that you've got a case called Miles versus City Council of Augusta, you should be prepared to admit that the case does involve a talking cat, because it's very likely that might come up. To find that out, you would have to actually read the case. It's not in the synopsis, and it's not in the headnotes. The print version of Miles continues with who the attorneys were, and then it goes into what the judge actually does. Here's what the judge said, and then it gets into the more meaty part of the case, which is the facts. If you look the case up on Westlaw, you get the same type of thing. It just looks a little bit different. You get the names, the docket number, the court, the date, etc., the synopsis, and even the headnotes. Here's what you want to remember. First of all, the headnotes, again, are not written by the courts, so you still have to read the case. You still have to look through the whole thing, even if you've decided this is a great case, it says exactly what you want, read the case. There may be something there that, that you need to know about. Remember, too, that in many advanced search features on both Westlaw and Lexis, you can search specific parts of a case. They're called fields. And you can search those by different things like the name of a judge or the names of the attorneys. Sometimes you can even search only the synopsis of the case, so that if you want a case that deals with one very, very specific legal issue, you might be able to search just by looking for that word and the synopsis of the case. This was just a very brief introduction to the parts of a case. If you have any more questions or if you need more information, be sure to ask a librarian. We're always here. We're glad to help, and we live for law. You can contact us at lawrefgp@law.stetson.edu. You can call us at 562-7821, or you can drop by the reference desk or the reference offices, and we'll be glad to help.